Food bloggers, hi, how are you today? Thank you so much for tuning in to the Eat Blog Talk podcast. This is the place for food bloggers to get information and inspiration to accelerate your blog's growth and ultimately help you to achieve your freedom, whether that's financial, personal, or professional. I'm Megan Porta. I have been a food blogger for 13 years, so I understand how isolating food blogging can be. I'm on a mission to motivate, inspire, and most importantly, let each and every food blogger, including you, know that you are heard and supported. It was such a pleasure to have two people on this interview today, Mika Kinney from Joy to the Food and Sarah Bond from Live, Eat, Learn joined me in this episode to talk about how they grew their Instagram accounts really, really quickly. And they give us all the tips, the strategies, the gems that help them to get there in a really short amount of time. Both of them were inspired by the helpful content update traffic downturn, and that really put them in a place to want to learn really fast how to grow Instagram so that they could get more traffic, so that they could build their audience more quickly and have a bigger community, get all of that engagement, all the good things that come along with a growing Instagram account. We talk about everything, honestly, the nitty-gritty of it all. Lighting, length of reels, how to get engagement, how to train your audience to go to your site, what having a following allows you to do. And we even talked about some limiting beliefs around Instagram follower numbers. This is an incredible episode. You guys are going to get so much out of this. I was super inspired. It is episode number 569, sponsored by RankIQ. Hello, food bloggers. Are you looking to spice up your social media account with unique and exciting content? If you want that secret edge that makes you stand out in your niche, I might have the answer for you. Katarina can help you streamline your podcasting and social media content with audio editing, video editing, or social media strategies. She specializes in working with food bloggers, tailoring her content creation packages to their needs. Whether you want to create something new, like a gripping podcast, or if you want to refresh your social media strategies by creating scroll-stopping video content for platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, she has got you covered. If this sounds intriguing, get in touch with Katarina. Go to eatblogtalk.com/resources to get more information about Katarina's services. Again, go to eatblogtalk.com/resources and click on her link. Now let's get back to the episode. Mika is a food-obsessed gal who has learned everything she knows from Food Network and cooking shows. She learned how to combine sweet and spicy from Bobby Flay and how to make a sponge cake from the Great British Baking Show. As the co-founder of Joy to the Food, her mission is simple: to prove that eating more protein is not complicated and can actually be a lot of fun. Sarah Bond is the food blogger behind the vegetarian website Live, Eat, Learn. With degrees in nutrition and food science, she started her food blog in 2015 as a creative outlet that combined her favorite things: photography, food, and writing. She now works full-time on her blog from Denver, Colorado. Along the way, she started her niche sites Brew Booch for all things kombucha brewing and Bon Appetit, a dog food blog. She is currently working on her first self-published cookbook, which will be released in July of 2024. Welcome, Mika and Sarah. So happy to have you both. I don't usually do two interviews at once, but we were talking at Flavor Media and decided that this would be a great opportunity for you guys to talk about your Instagram success and how quickly you've grown Instagram accounts and all of the amazing stuff surrounding that. So welcome. How are you guys today?
Hi, doing well.
Yeah, doing good. Excited to be here.
Yay. All right, so let's start out just by giving people kind of a snapshot of your blog. And then also inside of that, if you want to talk about how you got to the point where you wanted to grow your Instagram account, that would be great too. So let's start with you, Sarah.
Yeah, so I started my vegetarian food blog, Live, Eat, Learn, almost 10 years now, 10 years ago. And when I started it, I started all the general social media, so like the Facebook and the Instagram and Pinterest. And my focus has always really been on Google traffic and creating content sort of for the Google algorithm. But I've always really enjoyed consuming content on Instagram and posting my photos on there. But it wasn't until really the last year that I started to really take it seriously and be sort of consistently posting reels and sort of exploring a new medium for sharing the content that I've been creating for so long. So it's kind of been a fun past couple years, months, as I sort of delve into this new sort of way of communicating what I'm doing. But yeah, I've been in the business for quite a while, but it's always changing. So it's fun to, talk to you guys and go to things like Flavor Media and sort of learn new things. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I've had an Instagram account for Pip and Ebby since I started blogging. So that was like 13 years ago. And I've given it like pretty much minimal attention. So I keep thinking one of these years I should probably, I don't know, just try it out. And maybe you guys will inspire me today, but our stories sound kind of similar. Okay, awesome. So Mika, do you want to talk a little bit about your blog and what made you interested in growing your Instagram?
Yeah, so my husband and I started our website, Georgia the Food, 3.5 years ago now. And we were able to grow it pretty quickly with SEO strategy, but then the helpful content update kind of just wiped us out. So I was like, I love Sarah. I started the Instagram and the Facebook and everything, and I am a big consumer of Instagram. Like, I love to scroll. But I was like, if I just spend 1 month and I do a post every single day, I know I will get burnt out, but I just want to see what happens. And so in the new year, I was like, let's go. So it was like mid-February is when I started doing it. And then it just really took off, or the first post that really took off was beginning of March, so about 3 weeks after I started doing it. And it's just been really exciting because it's like, wow, something is working.
That is so exciting. So you said you thought you would get burnt out when you started. Did you? Have you gotten burnt out on it?
Yeah, I've scaled back a little bit. So like I don't post on weekends anymore if I can help it. I've started doing some brand stuff, so scheduling gets a little wonky, trying to space those out. But I definitely have pared back on the actual recipes and videos because for a while I was like creating new content like almost every single day. And that was just a lot. So now I'm going back and just grabbing stuff from what we have because we have plenty of recipes to use. And I should mention ours, I niched down a lot to protein. So that's why I needed to create so much more content.
Okay. So how long was that taking you every day when you first started, Mika?
That is all I did, other than client work. Yeah, I don't know. It probably there were some days I would spend like 4 or 5 days just shooting like 3 or 4 reels. And then I would try and get at least 2 of those up on the site. And then the other ones I would put in the caption. So I kind of space it out based off of like really what I have time with. Or if something is really simple, then I will put it in the caption because Instagram does kind of like that sometimes. And I kind of treated it as like, I'm an intern for a new company. I'm going to put the hours in. I'm going to put the long time in. I'm going to do whatever to be a sponge. But now I have a little bit more, so I don't have to do the long captions. I don't have to do things like that.
I love how you put that. You're going to be an intern. I think all of food blogging is like that, right? Like you just have to have that mindset. So many people get into it and they're like, where's the ROI? I don't see why I'm doing this. And like, you can't think of it like that. You've got to have that intern mindset. Okay. So you pivoted after the HCU. I'm so sorry about your traffic. I know a lot of other people are experiencing the same thing and can relate to this. And I think this is also a common thread that people are turning to platforms like Instagram to grow. So what do you guys think? And either one of you can answer this. How do you feel growing Instagram can change your business for the better?
Well, so I was also hit by the HCU and it continues to sort of plummet. And so I really turned to Instagram and social for a few reasons. The first is to diversify because now I'm realizing Google is not the golden egg that I thought it was. But I think it also, in working with Google, I think it helps to send social signals that you are a brand, you're not AI generated, you're a real entity that is creating this content and sort of gives background and experience. And so I've sort of been leaning into it for that reason as well. And sort of what Mika was saying with burnout, I think it can definitely happen when you're posting so frequently on these social networks because they just want more. And so one of the ways that I've sort of got around this is to repurpose the content that I'm putting on Instagram and TikTok into all the platforms. And so I put the videos on my site. So again, it's helping with SEO, and I put the videos on Pinterest and I put the videos on Facebook, and everywhere that I can put a video, I put that video. So I feel like I'm not spinning my wheels on all the platforms and I'm sort of touching all the bases. So that's helped me just to not spread myself too thin. But yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah, and Sarah's had some really good success on TikTok too with the same videos. I don't know about Pinterest, but some people say that TikTok has to have longer videos, but I don't know if you found that to be true.
Yeah, I have recently started editing the same videos to be longer for TikTok. I figure most of the time spent is in shooting it anyway, so I just edit it a little longer, spend the extra half hour to make it a longer edit. But some of my videos that have gone the most viral on Instagram have also been really successful on TikTok and YouTube Shorts. So
that's awesome. And have you guys been able to tap into sponsored work at all through TikTok and or Instagram?
I feel like Mika has.
So I've done a couple. So it's kind of funny after my traffic kind of skyrocketed in like a weekend. And Dan, my husband, explained it. He's like, all these brands are coming out of the woodworks like little bugs. And I was like, it's like all of a sudden, you reach out and no response. And then all of a sudden they're sending you emails and it's like, okay. And part of that I think is having this really defined niche, but also, I don't know, there's been a couple, so maybe like 2 a month that I've been able to capitalize on. And then it's been enough that it's worth my time for sure.
And then have you guys been able to see extra traffic from Instagram? I know it takes a lot of Instagram traction to convert to traffic, but have you been able to see any of that?
I've seen some, and I think it's sort of twofold. So I use ManyChats to send the link in the DM to people, and that's been very successful both for growing engagement in the comment section and then also getting people the link, because I feel like people don't understand how to find links in bios. And it's also helped, I found, with organic traffic. So one of my most viral recipes is now my number one post. It's Marry Me Chickpeas. And I had it on my list of recipes I wanted to develop for years. And I just didn't do it because I couldn't support like the keyword research. Like there's no volume for it. But now that it's gone viral, there's massive volume for it. So it's kind of like creating this stream that wasn't even there before. And so I think it can happen in two ways, sort of. One that's a little bit more sustainable and one that's for the viral posts.
Yeah. So talk about the viral posts really quick. So Mika, yours happened really fast, right? You had the one post that just went wild. I've watched it. It's really cute, but really short and really simple. How do you prepare for something like that? Like we never know what's going to go viral, right? So how do we, once it happens, what do we do?
Yeah, I think so. I was not prepared like I should have been. To one extent I was, because I think having your homepage or your Instagram profile set up is really helpful. Like it says very clearly, what are you about? If people are coming to you, they need to know why they want to follow you. So that's another part of it, is you want people to follow you from these videos. And the way that you're going to get that is they need to know why they're staying. So it can't be all over the place. But then the other part of it is, don't be afraid to change the caption. So I didn't have ManyChat set up. I didn't even have the post on the website at the time. And so when I saw it start to really take off, I was on vacation scrambling, got it on the site, and then set up ManyChats. And it didn't change the trajectory. It actually, like Sarah said, the ManyChats increases that engagement, and it just kept going up. Now, mine are not the virality that Sarah's are by any means, but I've seen enough traffic. So if you look at our analytics graph, social has outperformed search at this point. So it's working.
Wow, that's great. And then for you, Sarah, have you seen an increase as well?
Yeah, and it's similar to what Mika was saying, sort of preparing your profile almost so that when they get to it, they know exactly why they're following you. I think that was a huge moment for me, realizing that people weren't following you based on the thing that they just saw. They were following you based on what are they going to see next. And so sort of just that mindset change really helped me in formulating what content I was going to create. And then sort of going off of that, when you do have something viral, I think it's important to figure out what about it made it so popular. Was it the ingredient, or was it the method, or was it the song even? Because you can be pretty shameless about just repeating that, because you're finding new people who haven't seen you before. And so they aren't tired of it yet. And so I did a whole Marry Me series after that. And now I do chickpeas all the time because I've learned that that's what my audience wants. That's why they came to me. So
after mine was a brownie one. And so I did a whole brownie series after, and it was the same thing. So people in my audience want sweets. And so that's what I do a lot of now.
So how do you determine, what if somebody doesn't know? Was it the song? Was it the food? Was it my smile? How do you determine it?
that's a good question. Yeah, I was gonna say like throw spaghetti at the wall. That's what I feel like I'm doing every day on Instagram, just like seeing what sticks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because there was someone else I was looking at, and they had a viral video that was like one bowl banana bread or something. And I don't know, I'm just nosy. And so I go through and I look at the views of each of these. And so like, I would have thought banana bread would be the thing that was viral about it, but it wasn't. It was the one bowl. And so you could see in their previous videos, like other one bowl ones were doing really well, and the banana bread was just average. So it does take some taking it apart. And I actually recently had one that I did like a protein fudgesicle, and I posted it once, and I didn't have text overlay because I had they had a cottage cheese s'mores dip do really well. So I posted this thinking the cottage cheese popsicle or fudgesicle would do well. It did not. And so I deleted it, reposted the exact same video with the same text overlay as the dip, and it has skyrocketed.
Oh.
Within like 24 hours, I did this. So like, like Sarah said, don't be shameless. Like, it's okay to delete, like try it again, just trial and error.
So interesting.
Yeah, and I think also like not getting stuck in your way of doing things, because I think for a long time with Instagram, I am like a very type A person. And so I thought they all had to look the exact same. They had to have a very specific style. And I've sort of just thrown that out the window because like in the name of throwing spaghetti at the wall, I'm just seeing what works on Instagram. And I think it's constantly changing with trends, with what the algorithm is pushing. So definitely don't be afraid to, change a style that you think you need to maintain.
Okay, so if somebody kind of evaluates, this is what's working, maybe this is what's working, maybe it's the one bowl, maybe it's the banana bread, maybe it's the music, and then they find that common theme and they keep doing it, what do you recommend? Do they do a reel a day like you did, Mika? Where do they start?
Everyone that I've heard is just as consistency. So you probably find to just do, every 3 days or whatever is sustainable for you. Because I do feel like Instagram rewards that consistency. The value in doing one every day is you have more data to analyze. So that's like where my engineering background comes in, is like by nature, the bigger your sample size, the more data you have and the more you can go from there. So if you can by any means figure out a way to do that, repurposing your content or whatever it is. And even like now, static posts do pretty well on Instagram. Like I had one at like 15,000 reach, and that reached almost all of my followers, which was, or like, I guess two-thirds of them, which was really good considering reels. Like sometimes you don't even get that depending on your size. So if you can, great, but it's all about sample size, I think.
And then did you have something to add to that, Sarah?
Yeah, I think so. I do post pretty consistently once a day, but I have been finding that sort of in the name of not falling into burnout, but also creating content that people really enjoy, I think scaling back would be really useful, because I think once people realize that you're sort of just phoning it in and posting reels that might not be of the best quality or might not be superbly helpful, that's when they might start getting frustrated by following you or with your content. So I think post as consistently as you can while creating something that you're really proud of and that people will find value in.
And then what kind of is working? So like talk about length or, what your background is or music, like what is working for you guys?
For me, I think length does play a role. For Instagram, it's like 20 seconds. And for TikTok, it's like approaching a minute. And then the ones that I found do really well are where I, in my voiceover, share my experience either with a recipe or like professionally, because I have a food science background. And so people are interested in that aspect. So I think it's finding the thing that makes that reel or that recipe unique and unlike something they've seen before is what captures people and gets them interested in watching the rest of the video.
Yeah. And so like Sarah and I have pretty wildly different not videos themselves, but like the actual mechanisms behind them are pretty different. So like I do very long captions and try and plug in keywords, almost like writing an SEO description. So I will physically take my Q&A from the site and put it into my Instagram post or the tips. I will do like the meta description is the intro sentence. I will do the ingredients, but not the quantities. And then if they want to find it, comment or whatever. I do agree, like the length, mine about 20 seconds or less does well. I also try to edit so it plays as a loop, so you don't know that you've watched it again. the other thing is like all of my viral videos have been filmed on my wood kitchen table with like subpar lighting. It's super annoying as somebody who likes bright light, beautiful things, but it does. And there's a couple other people that I've followed, like Erin Lives Whole. She continually films on this wooden table with nicks in it. And I know there's a strategy there because it works, right? So like I've had some people reach out to me who are like, I don't have the great space. I don't have this light, whatever. Instagram doesn't want that. People don't want to see that. Like the majority of people in the US or the world don't have that. And so they want to see like, what is your actual kitchen like? Like, do you have toys all over? Are you going to step on a Lego while you're trying to film it? Maybe that's in your video. Like there's different things. And so that works for me is the long captions, the shorter videos, and the very basic filming methods.
Do you change your angles? So do you do like shot down, kind of 45 degree? Do you move around a little bit?
Yeah, I move around a lot.
Yeah, I try and keep my clips to like 0.5 seconds to 1 second, and then you'll get a different angle in the next clip because people's attention spans are just so short that keeping it interesting like that is really helpful. And then like Mika was saying, I think making it look like a real sort of backdrop, like a real kitchen, I think is really helpful, even if that's not the style of your site. I think Mike and I have similar styles of like colors, and it's like not necessarily what a real kitchen would look like because it's like a purple counter, but like for videos, I think it doesn't work as well because people can't relate to it and it looks like a set. And so I've been trying to add in more sort of like lifestyle things, like some plants or whatever. But yeah.
People say that lately, just like the lifestyle, the real, that's what people want on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like, and I think it was your interview with Crowded Kitchen with Lexi, was she mentioned having a plant in the video and literally doing that plant and then the caption similar to hers. That was my first viral video. And so like you can literally just, bring a plant. So I have like pothos above in my bathroom. So I will take it off of my bathroom shelf and I will put it on the table if I don't have flowers that day. Like, like
I also have my studio pothos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I have the two up there. Yes.
That's so funny, you guys. Just like the plant, the magic plant.
Yep.
Hey, awesome food bloggers, taking a quick break to talk about a new favorite strategy I've been using within RankIQ to garner some extra traffic for my food blog. First of all, you have to sign up for RankIQ if you're not already. The investment in this tool is minimal and it will pay for itself in dividends. Trust me. Once you're inside, head to the rankings audit section and connect to your Google Search Console account. Run the audit in a single click. This will take just a few seconds. Now scroll down to the pages experiencing traffic contraction in the past 28 days section. Browse through these URLs, weeding out any seasonal content. Pull out the top 10 URLs or so and plug the focus keyword for each of them into an incognito Chrome window. If your post does not pop up in the top 3 results on Google, spruce them up and republish as soon as you can. Sprucing might include partial or full rewrites, new photos, breaking up paragraphs, adding valuable H2s to the post, running it through the RankIQ optimizer, or analyzing your competition and adding value to the post, aligning with what some of your competitors are doing. Don't copy, never copy, only emulate. Make the changes depending on what your post needs. Republish, sit back and watch the post climb back up in the rankings. Head to rankiq.com today to get started. Now back to the episode.
And the other thing that's been working recently is text overlay that kind of leads them on, almost like you're writing a newsletter. So like, you'll never believe if, dot, dot, dot. And then later it has like, or whatever, which can be deceiving, but it encourages views.
I feel like it's a balance though. Like for every reel I do like that, then I'll do like a real recipe reel. And then maybe I'll do what I call like a collage reel where it's like a bunch of different recipes sort of stitched together. So I think as long as you're sort of creating something for everyone in their stage of knowing you, like your diehards who just want recipes, the people who just met you who want sort of those teasy things. Yeah, I think it's okay to do that.
And then you
I
mentioned
think it shows them your personality too.
Yeah, keep it interesting, right? Like show a variety. You mentioned static pins. Do you guys do those regularly? And then do you do carousels as well?
I don't really, because they don't work for my account very well. So I don't tend to do that.
Yeah, and that's something to note. Like what works for our account is not going to work exactly for somebody else's. It really is getting to know your audience. So my audience is obsessed with cottage cheese, which is great for protein. And so like I can do some static posts like that I just started trialing. And I've been surprised at how well they've done. And the other thing is I've gone to, so like whatever your niche is, like going to your peers who are in that exact same niche and just scroll through and see what works for them. Like do a deep dive into their content. So like in, my competitors, they're competitors with their peers. It's kind of a weird balance. They also can do static pins. So that's why I started testing it and they've been working well. I've not tested carousels yet though.
That's a good idea to go to your competitors and just kind of poke around. And then do you interact with their content too a lot and engage with it?
Yeah, I have like my little group that we've just sort of informally all started commenting on each other's things. So it's nice just to like, as you're consuming it anyways, be engaging and supporting other people who are doing similar things. So yeah, I'm in people's comment sections pretty frequently.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the other things I did initially was, so I watched this like 2-hour video on YouTube about how to grow your Instagram. And I don't remember who it was, but one of the things he recommended was following people who are in your profile or in your niche and then commenting on all of them. And there's mixed feelings about that. But the idea is that it signals to Instagram, like not only are you creating this type of content, you're consuming this type of content. So that's what's showing up in your feed. So I will, like, once I post, I'll go into this group that's now, like Sarah was saying, it's just like accidentally we all comment on each other's things. And so like I've had my, group of food bloggers like Sarah and then a couple others, but now I've kind of expanded that into protein and fitness folks too. And it does seem to help because they want engagement and you want to support each other. So
yeah, and I don't know if it's just by because that's when I'm on the platforms, but usually when I post is when I'll also go back and answer a lot of the comments from the previous day's reel. And that's on all the social platforms, just so I can sort of minimize the time I'm on them. So for Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Pinterest, and Facebook. And I think that does help because then I'm going back and liking people's comments, like readers' comments, and responding to them. And I think it sort of brings me back up to the front of their mind. And so then they go and look at the next reel that I just posted. So I think that's been really helpful. It's not intentional. It's just how it's happened, but it has been helpful.
And then what about lighting? Do you guys just do whatever lighting is happening in your house? Do you set up anything extra?
So I have artificial lights that I've used just because I've moved houses so many times that it's really hard to, find a house that has just the right lighting. So I use artificial for my photography, and I was doing that for video. But I found recently that the ones that do really well have that really harsh, direct sunlight. And so I have a window in my house that gets sunlight for like 2 hours. And so I plan my days around it, which is a bit stressful. But the direct sunlight does seem to be working really well because it really just makes the colors pop and it makes it look so crisp. And yeah, it's really nice. But artificial is a good alternative.
Yeah, I do all natural light. I have a big sliding glass door that I film in front of, but Minnesota likes to be cloudy. And so we're a little bit limited in that. And I used to film like, okay, only these days I'm going to film, but I was getting too stressed out. So now I film. If I got to get it done, it's going to be when it's cloudy. And like for my account, those do well. And like I was saying, it's very frustrating because I love that harsh bright light. But I have filmed even outside. So like when we had snow on the ground, I just film outside. So that's another thing that like there's someone who travels full time and they were like, how am I going to film? I'm like, go outside, like go find a picnic table. Like one of my best reels was filmed at my parents' house on like their 20-year-old coffee table outside. So like there's a lot of potential.
Mika, I think one of your kind of distinct brand elements is that harsh lighting. I've noticed like the light coming in your window and even like in your eyes, but in like your eyes are so beautiful. So I'm always like, oh my gosh, her eyes, I get lost in your eyes. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, but it is something that stands out.
That's what I like. That's what I wanted.
Yeah. I noticed it even before I knew that you were digging into Instagram extra. I was like, oh, this is like an actual brand element for Mika and her Instagram account. So yeah, it's definitely noticeable. Anything else about just kind of what you do for styling or setting up your scenes or anything like that that we should cover?
I think that's pretty much it for me. I do highly recommend there's like it's not a tripod for your phone, but it's like looks like a crane almost that I latch into my counter. And that has been really, really helpful for getting all those different shots without having to like reset up a tripod every time or move your phone. And so, yeah, it basically just works, and you can like move your phone all around your set. And I can send you the link if you want to put it in the notes after this. But yeah, that's been really, really helpful for quickly filming reels.
Yeah, and it's also like I like to have two setups. So I'll have one static tripod and then the other one overhead. So that way I can just move the phone and I'm not, when I go to edit the clips, the food is still in the same place because the tripod hasn't necessarily, the main one hasn't moved, but I can move that overhead.
Yeah, that's a great recommendation. Okay, I had questions about going back to traffic. I know that most people on Instagram aren't going to Instagram to go to your blog. So how do you train them to go from your Instagram account to your blog?
I think kind of going back to the mini chat discussion, I think that does help a lot. And I've almost noticed that when I go into these message threads, like in my automation sends someone a DM with the link, I'll often go just to check that it's working for the first few people. And I found that a lot of these people have requested many, many recipes from me. So I think that a lot of people are using that as a way of saving recipes and so that they remember to come back to it. And so, yeah, ManyChat has been very helpful with getting that direct link to people. And then I do have the link in my bio, and that's just, instead of being like the company called link in bio or whatever it is, it's just a page on my site that I've created. And so in the caption, sometimes I'll say like the link is in my profile, but on that page, I have like my most viral recipes linked at the very top because I figure majority of the traffic is looking for those anyways. So I just have them right there. And then I have a button to all my recipes, and then I have all the recipes listed under that. But I have found that if you say that there's a link that they need to go to, or if you use words like go to the link in my profile or recipe on my site in the caption, sometimes it doesn't do as well. And I'm not sure if that's the algorithm trying to keep people on the platform or not. But I do, for that reason, sort of go back and forth on whether or not I want to include that in the caption.
Mm-hmm. Do you find that your landing page has a pretty high click-through? Or like, do people go to it?
Yeah, it's like the number 5 post page on my site. Yeah, so it does really well.
And then
for anybody the bounce rate's really low.
They should look at hers too. Yeah, yeah. Because yours is very clean. It's easy to navigate.
Yeah, there's not many ads on it. And then I took my Instagram bio photo and I sort of made it look how it does on Instagram, like with the circle and like the gray thing around it. And I put that on the link in bio page so that when they get to it, it doesn't look like a totally different experience. It kind of still looks like Instagram, although it's my website.
Yeah, that's really smart.
That's smart.
Everyone's going to go scope it out now.
Yeah. I wanted to note with like the mini chat, so like to give an idea of like the percentage of people based on a video, just for realistic, and maybe Sarah's is higher. So like one of my videos that has 160,000 views, it only has, well, I should do a slightly different one. So it has 180,000 views and 1,200 comments, but 600 of those people requested the recipe and 40% click through. So it's a low number based off of the overall, but just like realistically, that's kind of what you're going for.
Yeah,
and then
great.
Something else you can do that someone gave me a tip on is in mini chats, like you can set up an auto response. So like I'll have it auto respond, like DM sent, check your messages. If you can also search, or you can also Google, quote, Joy to the Food protein parfait. And there's been a couple of times where people have actually searched Joy to the Food, whatever it is. And that I feel like signals to Google, like, oh, people are actually searching like this site. And so it helps overall on the other side.
Yeah, that's a great point too. Oh, I had a question about hashtags. Do you guys use them anymore? Are they dead? What do you think?
I don't have a great strategy around it. I include like 10 for each, but it's just hashtags that I think fit the recipe based on sort of like the category of the recipe or the ingredients used. But yeah, I don't have a great strategy for it, but I think I could be doing more because I think they are still alive.
I don't use any hashtags. I just started using hashtags after Flavor Media periodically. So what I was doing was like, say the name of it was protein fudgesicle. I would do protein hashtag fudgesicle and then do all my descriptions. So I would include them naturally instead of at the end. And I only did like 3 to 5. I didn't see it have a great return. Sometimes it did. it really seems to still be more about the video itself. Like, how much is that initial engagement? I have also started testing. There's been some chatter about doing keywords at the bottom. So basically you just type a keyword. So say protein and then vertical bar, vegetable, vertical bar recipes or whatever. So like 3 or 5 of them. And now I've done those on my static posts and they've done well, but they've only been shown mostly to my followers. So I don't think it has any relevance to the doing that.
That's a good idea.
So basically you could do whatever.
So there are no rules.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard that,
and see what works for your account.
Yeah, I've heard that is all over the place too. Like some people swear that hashtags work great for their account, and some people say they never use hashtags. So I think just experiment with that too, right?
And the thing to know too is like Sarah's captions are shorter, and then she does the hashtags, whereas mine are longer, so I don't do the hashtags. So my theory is that as long as you have keywords in there, you're going to get some sort of reach there.
That's a good point. I was going to ask, how do you track your analytics? Because I feel like you've been talking a lot about analyzing this data, and I just haven't had great success like digging into Instagram analytics. Because do you have to go post by post, or is there an easier way of sort of looking at everything holistically?
You literally go post by post. It's awful.
Okay.
So I will go into each one and like calculate the engagement rate, and then I guess you can look in your Instagram analytics and look at like your top posts by engagement, by, reach or whatever. So then I'll basically cross-reference those to see which ones have both the highest whatever. And then I'll go into Google Analytics or ManyChat and see which one has the highest click-through, like actually people going. But I guess I really even have to go to ManyChats for that because analytics I'm not good with GA4, so I cannot separate Instagram versus Pinterest social. And a lot of it is kind of just like I'll scroll through it and get a feel for it in a sense, and then I'll go for it, whatever based, like I got a sense for cottage cheese is doing well, so I'm just pushing that out.
Well, and I think going back to what we were saying earlier about finding the thing about that viral recipe that's working and figuring out what that is, I think that could be a helpful way of doing it, because when you see, even if it's just seeing which ones have the most views or the most engagement or whatever, I think sort of seeing those clusters of types of content could be helpful to like bring out things about them that could be doing well that you're not realizing.
And something too that I noticed early on was I had felt like I cracked it as far as getting that reach. Like my reach was I was really happy with my reach, but the engagement was not what I wanted it to be. So then I went back and looked at the posts that had the good engagement to try and match, what is that viral part of it? And then what is it that people like about it? And match those, because you want that higher engagement rate if you want to do sponsored work and if you just want people to go to your site.
Yeah, which I feel like is kind of the end goal for us. And I think a lot of people listening is that it's nice to have followers and it's nice to have a lot of likes, but if they're not clicking through or, helping build a readership, then it's all for nothing anyways.
Yeah, the whole goal is to have a community and to have people who seek you out and you want to provide for them. I mean, these are your people, so you want to give them what they want.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about just this idea that I know was not too long ago that people were holding on to about like you need 10,000 followers, like that was the magic number, right? Like you need 10,000 followers. And then I don't know, somewhere, I think it got lost because was that when the link was available in stories and then people kind of dropped that 10,000 number? I feel like there's such a limiting belief around this 10K. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Can you is it worth it to grow an account that's outside of that number is my question.
Also for me, I think the limiting thought that I had when I was less than 10K and even like in a majority of my blogging career, I had a very small amount of followers. And so my limiting belief was that I was never going to grow and that Instagram didn't like me and I couldn't grow. And I have proven that wrong, I think, to myself, which has been really nice. So yeah, I think that is one of the limiting beliefs. And the other is that you need it to make money or you need it to have an audience, which you certainly don't, because I was doing this for a long time before I had any sort of following on social media.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Mika.
And I think, I was going to say, like, for me, the limiting belief was that ROI. So like my husband and I are both engineers. we have a very, like, if A doesn't equal B, why would we do A? And so this idea that, like, why would I spend time on something? But deep down, I was like, I know I'm weird and I'm quirky and I know people will relate. Like, I can do it. And so I was like, yeah, I think that was my limiting belief, is honestly outside forces, because you hear that, like, oh, blah, 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 you can't do this. But I was like, yeah, I can. Let's go. Like,
You believed in yourself. You believed in yourself. Yeah, what you said, Sarah, that's so true. I think that if you have an account that's under 10K, you just assume that you're kind of stuck there forever and that there's no hope. Like, why would I try? Why, there's no point. But you guys have proven that there is a point, because I want to talk about numbers. So Mika, you went from, what did you start with before your viral video, and where are you at now?
So I went from 1,300 followers that I was at for like a year and a half to 15,000 in a weekend. And then I'm at 27,000 now. So yeah.
That's amazing.
So, and this all started, I guess it was April 19th is when it took off.
Oh, that's so amazing. And once it starts, don't you feel like the momentum is there, and it just kind of, as long as you keep up with it and keep tabs on what's going on, the momentum sticks?
Yeah, I think that's where it comes into, like, really understanding what your audience wants, so you can keep that momentum going.
Yep. And then Sarah, where are your numbers at?
So I was at like in the 20,000s for my entire blogging journey for like 8 years of it. And then in November, I posted my first viral, the Marry Me Chickpeas. And since November, I've got up to 260,000.
Oh, that's so amazing. You guys are killing it. Super inspiring.
So it's a snowball though, because we were celebrating 100K one weekend, and then the next weekend I hit 200K, which is just, so it's crazy how the momentum happens and it snowballs, and then it sort of just feeds itself. So yeah, it's definitely not the true belief that you will be stuck.
Right. Yeah.
And once you have that viral one, it does seem like Instagram is like, oh, people like this content. People are engaging. So you're more likely to have, it might be time between when you have that next viral one, but once you have one, it's just a matter of time before you have another, as long as you're creating content continuously. So,
right. I think this is such an important discussion right now, especially with other people are having HCU issues and Google issues and traffic loss, some devastating traffic loss. So I think this is going to be super inspiring. Is there anything that we have forgotten to mention that you guys want to touch on?
I did just want to mention that you can also use your Instagram following to grow your newsletter, which I know a lot of people are trying to do. So our newsletter started at like 200 and we're at just about 1,000 now, which like seems small, but that 1,000 number has been like really exciting for us, because those are people who are actively signing up to be with you. And I know that that's what a lot of people are trying to do now.
Yeah, and kind of going with that too, I think I know it's a very scary time for a lot of people, and I personally was pretty hurt by the Google updates recently, but I think it's also kind of an exciting time to share who we are and share our stories and really be unique, because for so long we were just making recipes, I think a lot of us, for Google or for keywords, and they lacked a lot of personality. And now I think that personality and unique angles are being celebrated on social media. And in turn, I think also on our sites. And so I think, like Mike was saying, like building your email list, like of readers who know you and want to come back to you, and building your social is scary, but I think it's exciting. And I think it is the way that we are going to need to start moving to stay current with how things are looking in this industry.
I talk to a lot of food bloggers on a weekly basis, and I love the ones who have this perspective that you guys have. Like, this is an opportunity to really get connected and to focus on different things, because there are definitely food bloggers on the other side who are like, this sucks. My business, I'm just going to throw in the towel. So I really appreciate that you guys are just grasping the positive and running with, this new pivot. So good job, you guys. And then do you want to share your Instagram accounts, please, so that people can go check you out?
Yeah, mine is called Live, Eat, Learn.
And I'm at _ Joy to the Food _ because somebody had Joy to the Food.
All right.
If you search Joy to the Food, we come up as the top. So, yeah.
All right. Yeah. Everyone go check those accounts out. Thank you guys so much. And then we will put together a show notes page just in case you want to go there instead. And that's at eatblogtalk.com /HCU to Instagram. We decided to call it. So yeah, Sarah and Mika, you guys are amazing. So inspiring. Thank you for joining us and wishing you so much more success. Thanks for sharing your stories with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was awesome. And if anybody has questions, like feel free to reach out to either of us.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Eat Blog Talk. Please share this episode with a friend who would benefit from tuning in. I will see you next time.